Hello and welcome to Simply Nihongo. This is the start of my series for introducing Japanese characters, Hiragana and Katakana. Today we'll be covering the main 46 characters. I'm making this to help people be able to fully enjoy Japanese, as most of my content will be in Hiragana or Katakana. Hiragana serves as the basic character set. So if you want to read books or play games, this is essential to learn. But I will share notes to try to help people remember these characters. In general, you will just have to drill, but making materials like this will help you overcome that barrier. So let's get started. Here is the main chart. We will be going over these characters one by one, and then I'll give some extra notes and clues. First character is A. When it comes to reading, the pronunciation is closer to Spanish than English, and that is going to be the case for most of the characters. So if you learn Spanish, like A, B, C, D, using those pronunciations will help your Japanese a lot better. Next character is E. You may see this attached to E adjectives. It is also used to extend E sounds. U is the next one, also used to extend the O sounds. E, O. Be careful not to mix this up with A. Ka. You will also see this as a common particle at the end of sentences, especially since this is used for basically as a question mark. Ki. One way to remember is it kind of looks like a key. In some scripts, including handwriting, you actually don't connect this bottom hook here, but some fonts like you see here do connect them. Ku. You will often see this when conjugating E adjectives. Ke. If you squeeze your eyes, it does kind of look like a ke. Ko. Sa. Again, in some scripts, including handwriting, you won't actually connect that bottom stroke here, so it is 1, 2, 3 strokes. Shi. You'll see this as a particle in some cases. Su. If you want to remember, it kind of looks like a pig's squiggly tail, so you got that little su there. Se. This actually looks pretty close to the kanji for se, which is the kanji for world. So you have here, you can see here it's very close. And that's actually the origin for a lot of characters, is they took a kanji and tried to make it simpler. So, something you'll want to remember is how to write this for the katakana, and that will help you understand how to write the katakana version of so. Ta. You'll see this a lot, especially when we're talking about things in the past tense. Chi. Here you actually connect the hook, so it is 1, 2 strokes. Tsu. Similar to so, you'll want to remember how this is in order to write the katakana. So the katakana kind of has a special system. In hiragana, you also have little tsu. When it's a little tsu, it serves as the double consonant. And if it is the small tsu at the end of a word, then that is actually a cutoff for the word. Te. You will also see this very commonly. To. This is another common particle which you will see for stuff like and. Na. It also has some grammatical usages you will see. Ni. Another common particle, especially when you're talking about the goal of a movement. So if I'm saying I'm going to the bank, I would say ginko ni ikimasu. Nu. from top down, it kind of looks like noodles. Ne. This is probably how it looked like if you don't know how to tie a necktie. That's the best way I can describe how to remember it. You have the little thing, and then you have that little loop there that you're trying to tie the tie. Nope. It's also a common particle, especially for possession or for making something a noun. Kind of looks like a no sign, so that makes things easier. Ha. When used as a particle, this is one of the few characters that has another pronunciation, and as a particle, it is pronounced as wa, and you will even see this in the phrase konnichiwa for hello, because it's written as konnichiwa. He. I don't really know of any tricks for the he, but it does look like a jump rope, so maybe you can come up with something like that. Who? Some fonts make it look like 3 strokes, but it's actually 4, so you have like 1, 2, 3, 4. He? If you look at a Japanese textbook or materials, often they'll use a snake illustration because a snake is pronounced as hebi. However, this is the other particle that has a different pronunciation. When it's a particle, it is pronounced as e, and this is used for, I guess, direction. So if I'm going towards the bank, I would say like ginko e ikimasu. Ho. You probably recognize that it looks a little bit like ha, but we have this extra bar here. Then we have ma. Something to note is the bar here is not at the very top like we saw for whole, so it's a little bit different there. Then we have mi, mu, me, which kind of looks like a cat's eye, which is good because the word for eye is me. Mo. This is another common particle for like also, or you'll even see it for like even if. You'll see a lot there. Notice it kind of looks like the ma, but instead of the little loop, we have just like a hook. Then we have ya. This is another particle that you will see often. You. Yo. You'll see this at the end of some sentences, especially for emphasis. Ra. Kind of looks like chi that we saw earlier, but instead of that crossbar that we have here, we have this kind of like a hat. I'm not sure what's the best way of describing that, but we have this part here. Then we have ri. So generally these are 2 different strokes, and normally they aren't connected, but it does kind of look cool. It kind of looks like a dragon. And this does make it easier to distinguish it from E, which is also disconnected, but a little bit wider out. So here we have Ru. One tip that I've heard was to think of the bottom as rubies, and we'll come into why in a little bit. And we have Re. Kind of looks like the ne that we saw earlier, but again, we have a hook instead of the loop. And here we have Ro, so the rubies had rolled off. And we have Wa. So this one is wa for when it's not a particle. So that's like watashi, we'll use this character. Then we have o. This one is actually pronounced as o, but this is also only used as a particle. And this one will denote the direct object of a sentence. Pretty much, if you want to use a word that uses the wo sound, we use actually a combination of characters. And yeah, we don't actually ever pronounce this W. We will probably only say it if we are trying to distinguish it from wo, like we're telling someone, that they should write it as wo instead of as o. And then we have This never starts a word. Also, you will want to remember this for how to write the katakana version. But we'll get into the katakana in another video. So about the long vowels, as I already mentioned, for a, I, and u, just add the respective a, I, or u characters. For e, normally it's I, but some exceptions like One-san uses e for the extension. For o, normally it's u, but in some exceptions like oki, you will use the o again. And if you want to go further, check out my quiz shorts, and as well as this playlist for more characters. And please share and subscribe. Thank you. And your support will be very appreciated. I hope this helps you a lot. And I hope to see you next time. Thank you.